Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatmutiraya. Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya Nama Pankaja Malini Nama Pankaja Netraya Nama Pankajangahe. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are reading from Canto 2, the status quo, Chapter 1, Questions by Vidura, Text 9. I haven't been too well the last week or so. I hope I can speak something. We'll start. I may need your help to read the purport and stuff because I start coughing in between. Yada chapatha pratihasabhayam Jagat Gururyani Jagata Krishnaha Natani Pumsham Amritayanani Rajo Rumene Shatapunya Deshaha. So we'll go to word for word, synonyms. Yada, when, cha, also, artha prahita, being advised by Arjun, sabhayam, in the assembly, Jagat Guru, the teacher of the world, Yani, those, Jagada, went, Krishna, Lord Krishna, na, never, tani, such words, pumsham, of all men of sense, amrita ayanani, as good as nectar, Raja, the king, Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, Uru, very important, mene, did consider, Shata, dwindling, Punya Desha, fragments of pious acts. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Krishna was sent by Arjuna into the assembly as the spiritual master of the whole world. And although his words were heard by some, like Bhishma, as pure nectar, it was not so for the others, who were completely bereft of the last farthing of past pious works. The king, Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, did not take the words of Lord Krishna very seriously. Purport. Prabhuji and Mataji, would one of you like to read the purport? I'm just trying to conserve my throat a little bit.
Purport. Lord Krishna, who is the spiritual master of the entire universe, accepted the duty of a messenger and deputed by Arjuna, went to the assembly of King Dhritarashtra on a peace mission. Krishna is everyone's Lord, yet because he was the transcendental friend of Arjuna, he gladly accepted the role of messenger, exactly like an ordinary friend. That is the beauty of the Lord's behavior with his pure devotees. He reached the assembly and spoke about peace, and the message was relished by Bhishma and other great leaders because it was spoken by the Lord himself. But due to the exhaustion of the pious results of their past deeds, Duryodhana or his father Dhritarashtra did not take the message very seriously. That is the way of persons who have no credit of pious deeds. By past pious deeds, one may become the king of a country. But because the results of the pious acts of Duryodhana and company were dwindling, it became evident from their actions that they were sure to lose the kingdom to the Pandavas. The message of Godhead is always that like nectar to the devotees, but it is just the opposite to the non-devotees. Sugar candy is always sweet to a healthy man, but it is very bitter to person suffering from jaundice. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mathaji. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I'm just, as I was saying, I've been kind of sick and my throat is a little, not so good. So thank you so much, Sanjay Mathaji. We'll do a little bit of Mangalachan prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Jam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvaivacha Patitanang Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome, dear devotees, to this morning's Bhagavatam discussion. I'm completely unqualified, and to add to that, I haven't been too well, so haven't prepared much, but I will present what I have prepared, and then we'll welcome your sharings and realizations. I seek the blessings of my Guru Maharaj and all of you wonderful devotees, so I may speak something of some value. So, Krishna, who is the Jagat Guru, who creates and destroys universes, in Bhagavad Gita, he himself has said that with a spark of my splendor, all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creation spring. He has taken the menial position of a messenger, kind of like any ordinary friend would do, right? I mean, that's so amazing, and that's one of the reasons, in spite of not being too well, I was like, let me, take this opportunity to glorify the Lord and speak on this verse, not lose that opportunity. As Prabhupada says in the purport, this is the beauty of the Lord's behavior with his pure devotees. Prabhupada on many occasions has said that in the spiritual world, one who sees Krishna as the Supreme Personality, he is not the first-class devotee. Rather, those who see Krishna as their friend, child, or beloved, they are at a higher class. Right? In fact, Vaikuntha is not really the targeted destination for the Rasika or the loving Bhakta, because the way the Bhaktas, the devotee, the pure devotee of Krishna sees is that perfection of devotional service is to see Krishna in one of the relational rasas, right? To have a relationship with him. And it could start with Dasya, Vatsalya, the parental rasa, Sakhya, friendship like Arjun, or of course Madhurya, like the gopis who did not even remember that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and their dealings with Krishna so sweet, so wonderful. And Krishna, in return, is so happy to reciprocate and serve his devotees in that same mood. How when Nanda Baba wanted his shoes, Krishna carried them on his head. He served his guru, Sandipani Muni, like any of the other students, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so also for the Pandavas and Arjun Sakha in particular, he has acted as the charioteer, the messenger, and in so many other ways, right? I mean, he has actually just served them as and when it was needed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Leela, he has served his devotees as well. Haridas Thakur in particular. Haridas Thakur is Namacharya Haridas Thakur. However, because he was born as Javan Haridas, he was not allowed into Jagannath, into the Jagannath temple. And what did Mahaprabhu do? Every single day he would bring back prasadam for Haridas Thakur. It's so heartwarming, right, to think how the Lord reciprocates and how the Lord does not deter from serving his devotees when the need comes. So here in this verse, Krishna is all-knowing, right? He knows, what's going to happen, how the Kauravas are going to react. But still, in order to teach that even though the opposing party is the worst possible, the most abominable, they've committed the worst atrocities. Yesterday we heard, from those verses how they cheated the Pandavas from their rightful share of the kingdom, tried to murder them, burning down their house of lacquer. I mean, great injustices, insulting Draupadi in such a terrible way in the Sabha, in the whole Sabha with everybody around. So, I mean, no wonder, like the verse says, that Duryodhana's pious credit was dwindling. Whereas the Pandavas, have been tolerant throughout, and therefore, what was their what is the state of their pious credit, right? I mean, obviously that's been going up, and throughout they've been in alignment and in full shelter of Krishna. So Krishna here is going on a peace mission, right? Because again, to teach the world. Although everything that the Kauravas have done absolutely deserves capital punishment. I mean, we studied that in Bhagavad Gita as well. All of these such activities deserve capital punishment. But still, Krishna goes on a peace mission to show the world, to talk it out, to try to get a peaceful settlement. Instead of, teaching the other side of it, right? Which is, if something happens, you go out and declare war and destroy perpetrators. But in order to set an example, he went as a messenger of his beloved devotees, Pandavas, to prevent the war, to try to prevent the war and the bloodshed of many, many innocents. Now, of course, the other aspect is that Krishna, around this time, was, had already been in this earth for a considerable amount of time, and it was coming close to the time that his Leela was to be wrapped up. So he did not want to leave the earth with in the hands of the corrupt people like Duryodhana. He wanted to leave the earth in the secure hands of a great king, of Dharmaraj Yudhishthir. Because after all, he descended upon this earth to rid Bhumi Devi of all the torture and the corruption that has been going on, which he very clearly says in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, right? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkrita dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavani yuge yuge. So he has come to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants and to re-establish the principles of religion. That's the reason he appears millennium after millennium. So Krishna actually wanted war, right? He did want the vinash of the Dushkrita. And we've heard so many times that Duryodhana was actually performing a service by recruiting all the corrupt and horrible kings around the world to be killed, together in that one place in Kurukshetra. So, although he knew that war was going to happen and he wanted war, he actually came as a Shantiduta to try to convince the Kauravas. And so Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, he reached the assembly and spoke about peace. And the message was relished by Bhishma and other great leaders because it was spoken by the Lord himself. But due to the exhaustion of the pious results of their past deeds, Duryodhana or his father Dhritarashtra did not take the message very seriously. So Krishna was speaking, right? Imagine Krishna speaking. Of course, whether I'll probably be in the same stage as Duryodhana, not being even able to identify him, but the whole audience was moved and convinced. It was nectar to their soul. They were relishing his talks on peace and all the advice that he was giving, except Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. So Prabhupada continues in the purport to say that is the way of persons who have no credit of pious deeds. By past pious deeds, one may become the king of a country, but because the results of the pious acts of Duryodhana and company were dwindling, it became evident from their actions that they were sure to lose the kingdom to the Pandavas. Very clear, right? So succinctly, Prabhupada has put that. Dwindling pious deeds versus that of the Pandavas. And it was clear that they were going to lose their kingdom. And he goes on that the message of Godhead is always like nectar to the devotee. But it is just the opposite to the non-devotee. So to delve a little more into pious activities and its importance, we know that Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in verse 7.28, has very clearly said, Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te zandamoha nirmukta bhajante mam dhridavyata. So persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So, again, so important to have acted piously, have removed, countered the sinful action. In this purpose, Prabhupada has written that those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse. For those who are sinful, atheistic, foolish, and deceitful, it is very difficult to transcend the quality of desire and hate. Only those who have passed their lives in practicing the regulated principles of religion, who have acted piously, and who have conquered sinful reactions can accept devotional service and gradually rise to the pure knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, gradually, they can meditate in trance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, so again, very, very clearly mentioned about the importance of being pious. So one very vivid, contrasting picture of those that have pious credits versus sinners is the difference between demigods and the asuras, right? We see demigods, and we've seen them so many times, whether in movies or TV serials or even in paintings, that whenever they're in trouble, they run to Brahma, and Brahma in turn, take them all to Vishnu, right? So you can almost visualize that picture. So because of this, because they are pious, because they have pious credits, they turn to Bhagavan. But Asuras, they naturally turn away from Bhagavan. And that was the, kind of the case with Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. In spite of having the Lord in their midst, they did not pay attention to the Lord's nectarian words. A similar message is very sweetly explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22.45. That's open. This message is also so, beautiful and hope-giving for us who have somehow, stumbled into Srila Prabhupada's mission, somehow made it there. So in Chaitanya, in Madhya chapter 22, Mahaprabhu is describing the process of devotional service. And it flows very similar to NOD, actually. So in this, Prabhupada is saying, Ono bhagge karo samsar khayan mukha hoy, sadhu sange tabe Krishna rati upajay. By good fortune, one becomes eligible to cross the ocean of nations. And when, listen carefully, when one's term of material existence decreases, one may get an opportunity to associate with pure devotees. By such association, one's attraction to Krishna is awakened. How fortunate are we, right? How fortunate are we that somehow we have come in contact with Srila Prabhupada and his mission. And what a great opportunity it is for us to awaken our attraction to Krishna. So while these past few days I have my throat, my voice was almost like unable to speak, coughing and whatnot. I was thinking I should tell Lakshmikant Prabhu that I can't speak, but it's such a wonderful this section. I was like holding off, and at that point I came across this verse. And immediately I felt some energy to speak. It's just so heartwarming and so hope-giving. And in the purport, actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains further the points in practical terms about pious activities and three kinds of pious activities: Bhoganmukhi Sukriti, Mokshanmukhi Sukriti, and Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. So we can quickly read that a little bit. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this point. He says, is this bhagya, fortune, the result of an accident or something else? In the scriptures, devotional service and pious activity are considered fortune. Pious activities can be divided into three categories. Pious activities that awaken one's dormant Krishna consciousness are called Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. Pious activities that bestow material opulence are called Bhoganmukhi Sukriti. So, Bhoganmukhi, obviously Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti is what we should aspire for. Whereas Bhoganmukhi Sukriti is like Janma, Aishwarya, Shrutasri, good material birth, wealth, good education, good looks, which comes from opening up hospitals, feeding the poor, etc. Right? And pious activities that enable the living entity to merge into the existence of the Supreme are called Mokshanmukhi Sukriti. So he says that these last two awards of pious activity are not actually fortunate. They are not actually fortunate. Pious activities are fortunate when they help one become Krishna conscious. The good fortune of Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti is attainable only when one comes in contact with a devotee. By associating with a devotee willingly or unwillingly, one advances in devotional service, and thus one's dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened. And so, uh, devotees. I guess, let's feel happy that by some good fortune, um, either, by actively working on this bhakti mukhi um, sukriti, or by some agyata sukriti. I mean, we hear of these stories of the mouse whose tail got, I mean, Krishna accepts our actions, our intentions. I mean, he's so kind. The mouse, that story of the mouse whose tail caught fire, and because he in discomfort he was dancing, and Krishna considered that as as worship to him. And as the mouse died, we hear that he actually, I don't remember whether he got the opportunity to come back as a human being and take to devotional service, or went back to Goloka immediately. And that's how kind Krishna is, right? He takes all of our intentions, our actions. And so importantly, Mahaprabhu had said that when one's term of material existence decreases, one may get this opportunity. So with that uplifting thought for the day, and prayers that we can continuously appreciate this opportunity and always turn towards Krishna, whether in happiness, in distress, or anything that may come in between. And that our thoughts may always dwell in Him, like He says in Bhagavad Gita, so that our material existence constantly and steadily decreases. So with that prayer and that thought, I will end for today. Thank you, and sorry if I misspoke anything. Please add or correct.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Cintamani Mathaji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. It was a very beautiful class. I mean, you have so nicely connected with the purport with, very wonderful sections in Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is very, very wonderful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. May get well soon. Get well soon. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. That really so inspiring. When the body is not cooperating, it's like, okay, I don't want to do anything. It actually goes to the other side. But it's very nice how your love for Bhagavatam and how, you wanted to connect and glorify the Lord. It's very inspiring. And something that was really struck for me is as describing how wonderful is the Lord and how fortunate is our position to connect to Him. And apparently it's very interesting. Just last night, in our Srimad Bhagavatam reading, we were discussing this second canto, 7th chapter, last few verses, and the 8th. Whoever very sincerely, properly heard Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna immediately establishes in our heart. And we were like, wow, that's really so beautiful. And Srila Prabhupada's purports also, like, so endearing. I was like, wow. And then Sundar Leela Mataji brought this aspect. There is one Prabhu who's coming from Wisconsin. Looks like he had been hearing just Srila Prabhupada's lectures, no other association, nothing else. Somehow, because of his good fortune, he came in contact and he started hearing. And looks like he told Sundar Leela Mataji, you don't know what you have got. And Mataji's like, I know. He was like, no, you actually don't know what Srila Prabhupada has given you all. Like, just thinking about it, as you were saying, it just dawned on me again. Like, sometimes we just take these things for granted. Though we have gratitude to some extent, we may not understand the full extent. What is that we have really received? Hearing Bhagavatam every morning and associating with Prabhupada and the devotees, I was like, just so amazing. So I was super inspired. seeing your enthusiasm and eagerness in spite of, health, whatever. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sakini Mataji. And also this opportunity that we have in ISKCON Naperville, which, I don't believe most temples offer this, the way we have this opportunity to actually present the Bhagavatam and delve deeper, in addition to just hearing. It is really, really so fortunate.
Hare Krishna. I had the opportunity to meet David Prabhu, who is coming from Wisconsin, 4:30 a.m. And I go there in the noon arti time these days to read, and he's there, and I think he stays through 6 or something, just chanting and reading, and spends his day there. Very blissful personality. Thank you so much, Amritakali Mataji, for bringing him up. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. How long is he there? Is he coming every day, or?
It's been coming every day since for about a week now. I think that is his, going to be his program. It looks like.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are a couple of minutes over. We will end here. Radharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Krishna Sindhu ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.